when I heard the prior panel speak about choosing industries that offer upward mobility, there's no industry, I believe, better in the city than the hospitality industry. It serves as a portal where folks can come in, get a job, and have the opportunity to go as high as they want to. In any hotel in this city, you can go into any of the 100 hotels, and you'll find general managers of the hotels that started as dishwashers, bellmen, front desk clerks, and the like. And so in terms of finding an industry that offers upward mobility, there's no industry like the hospitality industry. And so I want to make a strong case that from an economic development place, I know Victor's here, that we try to do more deals like like the Marriott Marquis, where in essence we're going to have a strong percentage of DC residents that are going to be working at that hotel, and through getting as many DC residents at that hotel, not only do you improve their lives, but you improve the lives of future generations. And so in essence, I'm excited from an employer perspective to see so many good people doing this work. And just to speak to the types of candidates that are coming into my hotel applying for positions, we're seeing a lot of young folks coming in. Some of them are well prepared. Others of them need to be better prepared. And my message to community-based organizations is that we should set extremely high expectations. And if you start with a cohort of 30 and you finish with 5, you should just have the 5. But we should set rigid expectations and only graduate those that show themselves ready, so that when they come to us as employers, they're ready, we can hire them, and they open the door wider for us to hire more. But from an employer perspective, being in the business for almost 20 years in this town, sometimes we get a lot of folks that are ill-prepared. And it oftentimes will taint our image of working with community-based organizations relative to employment. One of the other benefits of our industry is that, and this Cedric, of course, knows about this, is that we are hospitable to nonviolent ex-offenders. And so we get a lot of young men coming that may have had some issues in their past, but they're not nonviolent issues, and we can help them to successfully make the transition. Our industry, at the time under the direction of Emily Durso, we ran a program a few years ago where we were able to allow for quite a few individuals with backgrounds to transition into the industry, and I'm proud that our industry has been a part of that effort, and I'm trying to get more of my hotel partners to be hospitable to helping ex-felons transition back into society. And so I don't want to monopolize the time, so I'll pass the microphone on.
Thank you. My esteemed colleague here stole quite a bit of my thunder. I echo his statements in terms of the rigor and the standards we should be setting for our constituents, our future applicants, and future employees. From a standpoint of the types of positions for which WMATA hires, I guess the best way to describe it is we're a microcosm of the city. So if you can think of any particular position, that position exists in one form or another at Metro. So obviously we're known for our bus operators, train operators, the mechanics, the janitors, and the likes, but the infrastructure that's required in order to operate our system, which is also expanding, requires every type of discipline you can think of. IT professionals, obviously your infrastructure from an administrative standpoint, finance, accounting, human resources, and the likes. Also from trade skills, heavily focused on the trade skills, mechanics, and every discipline along those lines. Engineers are increasingly more important as we're expanding, so we're looking for various engineers, every discipline you can think of, construction, mechanical, electrical, and all of those positions. From a WMATA standpoint, our challenges are similar to, I would expect, most employers. We're looking for applicants who are qualified, meet the requirements of our positions, regardless of it's an entry-level position to the most senior-level position. Certainly the technical skills that are required for the position, but the soft skills are increasingly important. So to the extent that an individual's communication skills are not up to par, their basic reading, basic math, ability to pass basic level at the 8th grade level, reading, math assessments, increasingly important. And that's one of our challenges, that while we have the volume of applicants, WMATA is obviously well known in this area. If I put a posting out, for instance, for a bus operator, within a matter of days, I can easily have upwards of 1,200 applicants associated with that one posting and one requisition. However, what's the number of those individuals who have applied for that position who will be successful in passing a basic reading assessment at the 8th grade level, who will be able to pass a basic customer service level type assessment, basically speaking to your professionalism, your judgment, and the likes. And then thereafter, there are other requirements. When you get to the interview phase, it's increasingly important that the individual presents themselves as being professional, committed, articulate, and the likes. And that's where we need increasing support and ensuring that when the applicants come to us, they have an understanding of what it means to be a professional in any discipline, whether you're a bus operator, a mechanic, a janitor. There's a way in which you conduct yourself. That's one of the areas that we really need to get some development for our applicants.
I'm Jeff Lee with Metro Data Networks. We're a certified business enterprise, a CBE in the district for the last 3 years. I've been working with DC government specifically and Octo and information technology support for the inception since Suzanne Peck had started the organization in 2000. So we're very familiar with the IT side of the house and helps in support for the district. So as a company, we are very focused on information technology, as the mayor was mentioning, which is important in the area where I think the district needs to grow. We've been working and staffing people from all over the country for quite a while, and what we see here is a huge opportunity in the district to build an information technology zone. There's a lot of federal agencies that we work with, as well as Capitol Hill. We support several members in Congress office directly with district residents, and I have to thank Dr. Moore from DOES with some of the programs that they actually have started to put out, and I agree that right now we've never seen anything like it with DOES really coming forward to engage employers, and I think that's really important because it's always been there, and now with the program that looks to be happening, I think that's a huge plus for employers like us, and obviously large prime partners that we work with. We work with companies like Lockheed Martin and Booz Allen, General Dynamics, a lot of the major federal primes that are looking to staff people in the district for their contracts. And what we say is that some of the requirements that they're talking about hiring local residents are suggestion, and I would suggest to the mayor and other people in the city that there's more stipulations. Say some of the jobs that don't necessarily have to go from outside would be managed by people in the district. For companies like ours, CBEs and local residents, there's plenty of opportunities to take these opportunities at the beginning level. And I think some of the previous panelists were talking about education and training. Part of what we do is we partner with a couple nonprofit training programs in the district, one of which is called the Vets Group, which does a lot of work with DC veterans as well as other veterans. And we're finding there's a lot of support for that, especially with industry certified training programs. So we work with organizations like Cisco or Microsoft and a couple other well-recognized industry certs. And I think with a shorter-term certification, where you don't necessarily need to have a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree, you can take somebody straight out of an existing career, give them 6 weeks to 8 weeks of training with the industry certification. Employers like ours, Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen, or whoever, they're ready to take these people with the right type of aptitude, I think we're mentioning, or the willingness to work. As an employer, I think what we're looking for mostly is the person's desire to show up, and then have the tenacity to show that they really want the job, and that's what we're looking for. Like he was mentioning, that top 5% or 5 out of 20 that want a chance, and then I think that there's plenty of opportunities to train them and to get them certified, they're missing some sort of skill set. And then ultimately you have to, earn your way through as you work, like everybody else here does. But we always want to be in a position to give people the opportunity to do that. So that's kind of our perspective, and so far what we've seen is it's been working. So we've taken 2 or 3 homeless DC veterans and converted them, through a training program, and now they're sustainable, making $60,000 a year. And within like 3 months they were homeless. So I think it's a pretty interesting opportunity, but we're being able to prove a model that works.
Thank you. So Mayor Gray had to step out for a few minutes. He will be back with us later, but in the interim, I wanted to facilitate some Q&A with our panel. My name is Allison Gerber, and I'm the Executive Director for the District's Workforce Investment Council. And I thought maybe I would ask our panelists a few follow-on questions, and then we would do, as we did earlier, and open the mic up to all of you so that you could ask them some of your questions. So maybe where I'd like to start, and I think each of you started to touch on this in your presentation, but could you maybe draw us a picture of a particular entry-level position that would be in your company or your industry, and what the career path would be for that over time? So we can kind of think specifically with you, what does it take for somebody to succeed in your field? Highlight maybe some of the skills or some of the things that you would want to see them acquire so that they can move up over time.
In essence, in the hospitality industry, individuals can transition as room attendants, front desk clerks, and the natural progression would be for them to be promoted after, of course, showing a serious desire to learn, a serious commitment to the hotel. They could transition inside of 6 to 9 months to be a supervisor in their respective department. And at that phase, we tend to engage them, and we try to encourage them to take classes at the community college level to advance their writing and math, to quote my colleagues. And then if they continue to show the same desire and they master that job in short order, in the next maybe 9 months to a year, they could transition to be a manager of a department and a quasi-department head. And then it typically would take maybe 3 to 4 or 5 years. And this is where either them either pursuing an associate degree or a bachelor's degree will be helpful, because the complexity of the work from an administrative place will begin to become more complicated. And if they're continuing their education at the community college level, it will make that transition easier. If they choose not to do that, then oftentimes it just will require that they spend more time in their respective job. So as opposed to, say, for example, a supervisor or manager spending a year and a half, 2 years in a job, it may take them 5 to 7 years to be ready for the next job. But there's a strong opportunity for them to continue to do well as long as they show the aptitude and the desire. And so, again, this is a consistent thread in our industry, and it's not just the case at my hotel, it's the case in every hotel in the city.
From a Metro standpoint, one of the most entry-level positions, and the one that is actually the greatest volume of opportunity to come into the organization, is our bus operator position. The individual who would be applying for a bus operator position would need to have minimally a GED, and then they would go through a series of assessments. It's a 3-tiered assessment process. As I mentioned earlier, they need to pass a basic reading assessment. There is a customer service assessment, as well as a behavioral assessment. And the behavioral assessment has multiple components to it. Some of it is customer service, some of it is judgment, professionalism, and the likes. This is a validated tool specifically for the bus operator. Having passed those 3 assessments, then they would be brought in for interviews. Interviews would take place with our HR department as well as the hiring department. And a candidate who's successful there, because it's a safety-sensitive position, would have to go through a medical assessment. Medical assessment and background check. Having passed all of that, the end criteria and the last threshold that they have to pass is, in order to become a student bus operator with us, you would have to have your commercial driver's license, a CDL, at least the permit with specific endorsements. Assuming the candidate meets all of that, then you come in and you come into, as a student bus operator, you go through our training. Successful candidates complete the training, you become a full-fledged bus operator. From there, it runs the gamut. You choose where you want your career to go. The logical path, career progression from a bus operator, you can become a service operations manager, which is the oversight and supervisory role for bus operator function. Also contractually, where Local 689 is the union that our bus operators belong to. In order to become a station operator, a train operator or a station manager, you would have to have first been a bus operator. So for those two professions, we don't hire from off the street. You'd actually have to progress from bus into rail. So that's the other path that someone can choose to go to if you're staying within the realm of operations. Beyond that, once you've met a residency requirement of 90 days, 6 months, thereafter, you can apply. You're eligible to apply for any position as an internal applicant for WMATA. So depending on your background, your areas of expertise, and your years of experience in whatever discipline you may be interested in, then you're eligible to apply for those positions and progress accordingly. We also have a number of sort of trainee programs that as an employee you may be eligible to apply for and be considered sort of an internal apprenticeship that will give you additional exposure more on the operations side, so you can progress along that path. So again, once you've been with the organization at least 6 months, you performed well, your attendance has been what it needs to be in that arena, then you're free to apply for any position, and you make your career what you choose it to be at that point.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks. Well, I can't really speak for obviously all IT companies in the district, but I can talk about some of the things that we've done and the positions that we work with, specifically with Octo and their career path. For someone that's coming on an entry-level basis, if it's on the networking side or on the help desk side, you don't really need to have an education other than from high school level, where we see that they finished high school and then they ultimately are looking for a career path in information technology. You can start at a help desk level 1 or a network technician level 1 with very basic or minimal skills, where you will have to eventually get into some sort of training program, which we have several that we work with industry certifications, as people know, with Microsoft or Cisco. Those are very regimented programs that actually have a very specific set of requirements that they would go through in time, but it doesn't take, again, a lot of time for them to go through it. It's just more their willingness to learn and sit through the class, and then ultimately work with the employers or the people that we typically work with to help with the transition. Ultimately, I have to agree that it comes down to your willingness to work and your aptitude and logistics of employers. And one of my recruiters is here, Nick, and we work very closely individually, one-on-one with a lot of people in the district, and we're finding that there's quite a bit of talent that's here that just needs the opportunity to go through the process. And I think as long as they have that, the skills that they need to acquire at a basic level are not that difficult to bring up to bear. And then ultimately the opportunities are pretty tremendous with employers in the district, and with both Marriott and WMATA, we've staffed IT positions, and again, probably every employer in the district that is looking for some sort of IT support, and it doesn't make sense to me why it wouldn't be a district resident as opposed to somebody from outside. So I see, this is a very good opportunity in this zone, and I think that's what he's already mentioned. It's something that the city's looking at to incentivize a lot of employers to do it.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask them one more question and then turn it over to all of you. And I think each of you spoke to, in your presentations, about the sort of softer skills or the customer service aspect of what's really important in each of these positions. And I'm wondering if you could just tell us maybe about an employee, it could be a current one, it could be a previous employee, who you really feel at the entry level exemplified the affect that you would really be looking for in that sort of customer service. You know, many of us in here work directly with clients, and it might be helpful for you to tell us, you know, what would a successful entry-level person look like in terms of their interaction with others and some of those softer skills?
Relative to the hotel industry, within probably the first 3 minutes of someone sitting down, we can tell whether their nonverbal communication, their body language, is conducive to our industry. Them smiling, of course, making eye contact, by their posture reflecting a serious desire to work. And, you know, body language says a whole lot. And there are times where in the first 30 seconds of someone sitting down, I only spend maybe another 2 minutes with them. Mm-hmm. And there are times where in 30 seconds, I already know that I'm going to hire the person. Whatever deficiencies or shortcomings they may have, I know that I can train those things. But in terms of them being, having the right posture, having the right commitment, being serious about the work, being serious about hospitality, being cordial, we can tell in a short amount of time. And it's amazing that there's a lot of young people in the city. They may not have graduated high school, but there's still some young people in this town who, because of their upbringing, are service-oriented. And I think oftentimes what we have to do as employers is we have to see the good in them, and we have to invest in them as well. And I think the challenge, for example, as a hotel association board member, is to get as many of my colleagues to see the good and commit to investing in some of the young people that automatically come with those service skills.
Thanks. An entry-level individual who would exemplify customer service for me, they have a clear service orientation, recognizing that many and most of our positions are public-facing. You need to be cordial, but also be able to maintain your composure under very stressful situations. So the reality is, when you're public-facing, there are times that you're interacting with people that are pleasant and have they're having a wonderful day, and then you have interaction with others that are less than pleasant, may not be having a great day, or general disposition is not the most pleasant of individual. So they need to be able to maintain their composure, recognize that they're always still representing the organization as well as representing themselves, and be able to conduct themselves in a professional fashion, regardless of what statements may be made to them. Certainly, we are thinking always of the safety of the public as well as our employees, but being able to conduct themselves in a fashion that, for lack of a better way to put it, is not going to put us in the newspapers. And I think you all know what I mean by that. But also just representing the organization in a way that we can be proud of the way in which the employee conducts themselves. Being able to think beyond the immediate situation, always looking to be helpful. So the answer of "that's not my job" is, if your answer is "I know my job and this is what I do," and you can't think beyond that, and your answer is going to be to someone who's asking you for directions, asking you whatever they may be asking, if your immediate response is "that's not my job, go talk to someone else," and you leave it there, and you don't make that connection or that soft transfer, then you're not exemplifying what we're looking for, regardless of the role that you're in. And I think that's key.
Yeah, I have to, echo a little bit, last two people, kind of mentioned that ultimately, regardless of the type of, job that they're looking for in terms of support, we are customer service oriented, even in information technology, because as everyone here knows, your computer's going down or something's happening, you don't want to hear, someone tell you, whatever. They just want to know that you can fix it, or if they can't fix it, you want to know when something's going to happen to come back and take care of it, because as we know, we all rely on that every day. So it's very important that when we talk logistics with people that we're training and we're talking to, that they understand that they have to, maintain calm in the situation and be able to, handle an irate customer, an irate person, and something's wrong with the machine or whatever's happening. They know how to escalate an issue to a supervisor or someone that can help. And these are all, soft skills that have to be, that have to come with the person really before they even start to work. And then ultimately you can train and you can work with people on how to find and fix problems. But, working on the soft skills is probably, I'd say 60 to 70% of getting that job. It's how you show up for work. It's how you show up on time, being reliable, being accountable. I mean, I think accountability for us is the number one terminology we use because that's really important these days. And we emphasize that from day one with everyone that we talk to. So.
Thank you. I heard sort of a chuckle in the room as Ethel described the kind of some of the things that their entry-level employees need to be able to do. I hazard to guess that many of you also ride the bus because I see my bus drivers on a regular basis having to deal with quite a wide range of individuals and their questions. So questions from all of you.
Just a quick question for Jeff. You said that you recently hired a couple of people who were homeless, and now they're in jobs that are $60,000 a year. Can you tell me how they came to your attention? Were they referred by others? And also, what was it about these particular homeless people that allowed you to take that risk and to move forward?
Thanks for the question. I think what in the two particular situations I mentioned, these people actually had a career in information technology in the past, and they came from a background that they just fell on hard times. And if once I saw the resumes and they went through the city programs, I was like, wow. I mean, when you see somebody with that type of experience, and then you realize that some things can happen. Anyone, even in this room, believe it or not, if something happened, you just would never know. It only takes a few paychecks or a few whatever that people miss, and then all of a sudden you're looking at, a serious problem. Fortunately, we were able to identify through referrals these people and then get them right back on track.
Referrals for both?
So just throughout our organization, people, not even through the city, but I mean they were referred to us through some of our commercial clients. And ultimately, we said, well, this is a great opportunity because we know you have the experience already, and you just need another chance to get back in. And I'd have to say, venture to say that there's probably a lot of people that are not just youth, but people that are like in new careers that they just want another shot at maybe doing something different. And IT there's so many layers of IT that you can get into, even at the program level, if it's not specifically technical. And the jobs that they pay nowadays, especially with the federal government and then with other commercial contracts, are pretty significant. And it makes no sense, again, from my perspective, why we have to hire people from overseas or other states or wherever to come in and take money from the district when the opportunities are right here for people in the district.
Would you like to have our last question?
Yes. Perhaps it's more of a statement with regards to the Marriott. I'm Diane Little, Director of Adult Programs at OICBC, and I'm here with our President, Alexis Robeson. But I wanted to share that the Marriott does work hard in the community. While I haven't worked directly with Mr. Penny, OIC has partnered with the HR division, and they have come to our site. They have reaffirmed the training that we do in customer service, and that means a lot. It validates the fact that, well, we thought we were on the right path, and it validates the fact that we know we're on the right path, because much of the training that we're doing, the trainer confirmed that that's what you all do. So I want to commend you all for your outreach into the community, and we do get very good feedback. They've spent a lot of time with us, and they identified some candidates that they want to interview. And so it does work if the employer is willing to extend themselves.
And I'm going to take your mic from you.
Thank you. So I don't have one, so I'm going to give us our instructions for our next phase. I'm sorry that I have to cut off the questions. I apologize. I see a lot of hands up. Unfortunately, I want to make sure that we keep moving you along so that we're not holding people here past 2 o'clock. That would be unfortunate.